Yes,
forward?
yes, and yes to all of those questions, man. I think we partner with anyone that is willing to lock shields with us and fight for liberty. And so sometimes that's somebody that I learned this lesson actually in the legislature. I was 27, young, passionate. I thought when I went in, everybody was going to, Republicans going to line up on this side, Democrats on this side. We'd duke it out, and the best idea would win. Not at all.
Right.
And very often I found myself teaming up with somebody that I disagreed with 90% of the time, but on that issue, we were together. And so we'd stand there and fight, to win that bill, to get that particular issue aside. So I learned early on that you lock shields with anybody that's with you, willing to fight for liberty, even though you might be disagreeing and fighting against them on the next issue or bill or whatever. And so I think we seize this moment to take those people that are with us on the economy or whatever it is that motivated them to join, and then we evangelize. And we evangelize by the way we live even more than obviously what we say, and them seeing us in the fight, having joy, not getting depressed or too elated or too depressed or whatever from the fight, having a mindset and an attitude that is long-term, being trustworthy, being, all the things that if we're a biblical Christian, they're going to be drawn to that. And they're going to say, something's different about you, man. The way you fight is different, or the way you have peace about this situation, even though, we lost the battle today. When they see that John Quincy Adams mindset of duty is ours, results are God's, that steadfastness in the battle, in his case for 17 years in Congress trying to end slavery, I believe that they'll be drawn to the gospel and want what we have. But even if they don't, that we will, team up with them for that particular fight. Man, we had to think about, even World War II, we had to team up with Stalin. You're talking about one of the greatest evils in the history of mankind that he would usher in eventually. But the greater evil at the time was obviously Hitler. And so I'm not saying teaming up with, don't get me wrong here, I'm not saying teaming up with libertarians or cultural Christians or as you say, Christless, how'd you say it? Christless conservatives.
Christless conservatives.
I'm going to borrow that. I'm not saying that's the same as teaming up with Stalin, but it's the strategy of saying, I'm going to team, the enemy of my enemy is my friend at this time to fight this particular battle. And the evil of carving up children right now and this transgender thing, the evil of bankrupting people through the inflation and the terrible fiscal policies, the evil of educating our children to hate their own country. Those are things that we can team up with those Christless conservatives, win that battle. And then hopefully they learn enough about what actually produces freedom to eventually see that our founders were right. It is a biblical foundation that will give you the greatest nation. A lot of these middle of the road people, or even libertarians, they have bought the lie that freedom somehow is Christless or religionless, that if you bring religion or faith into the arena, that's somehow going to get rid of their freedom, that's somehow going to force them to live a certain way or whatever it is. And one of my mentors was Zig Ziglar, and he always said, God's best blessings are found within his boundaries. And liberty is the same way. You have to have, as the song America the Beautiful says, liberty in law. So without law and without some guideposts, without the boundaries, you actually end up in tyranny because people go crazy. They do things that it becomes like what we've kind of seen as a Romans 1 world right now, where anything goes, everything's okay, and it's celebrated. And it actually leads to bondage because people start asking for government to stop the chaos. Man, we're killing each other or we're doing whatever. And so, trying to do freedom without God in the equation leads to the French Revolution. It leads to the guillotine and chaos. And if the founder of our country, George Washington, the father of the country, if he says religion and morality are indispensable supports of political prosperity, we probably ought to listen to him. I think he must have got it right and must have been humble enough, right, to hand over power twice. So anyway, I think those middle of the road folks will eventually hear that message. I honestly think the best example is Elon Musk. Look at the stuff that the guy's saying right now. He is parroting and saying things that we've been saying for 20 or 30 years. He's sharing. If you follow him on X, he's starting to share things that, man, I would have never dreamed. Joe Rogan, same thing. Those guys are coming to our perspective. Now, I'm not saying they're saved. I'm not saying they're Christians yet. I'm not, but they're definitely realizing that the leftist philosophy that they used to believe in actually produces evil, and they're hungry. So I just think we've got. I thought your questions were great. I'm sorry I went so long. I filibustered there, but I think the answer is yes. We partner with them. Yes, we evangelize by the way that we live. We don't shy away from truth. We don't compromise on truth. But absolutely, man, we take the ground that's available to us right now with them, and eventually we might be fighting them on some of these faith issues or cultural issues.